We are live. Good to see you today, my EOS Podcast friends. I have a really fun show for you today. I have Dawe from Effect.AI, an open, democratic, decentralized network for artificial intelligence. You guys know about this because Effect.AI just moved over from Neo to the EOS blockchain. So we're going to dig in deep today. My EOS Podcast friends. Chris, welcome to the show. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Thanks so much, Brandon. It's an absolute pleasure and an honor not to just only be on your show, but all the things that are happening with our project coming over to EOS. It's an exciting time. So thanks for having me. Like you said, my name is Dawe. I'm the CEO and one of the co-founders of Effect.AI, a decentralized network for artificial intelligence development. My background is in project management and business. I have a little bit of time in sales. A fun fact is I used to be a professional kickboxer as well. So I have a colored past. That's a little bit about me.
That is fantastic. Well, I want to dig into a lot of those things there. And just to tell people, when I knew what Effect.AI did, and then I started digging in, I didn't realize how big picture this project was. So EOS listeners, you're going to have a good time kind of getting to know what's going on here. Chris, how we usually start the show is I'll ask you what is the most interesting thing going on in EOS right now, and then we'll dig in from there.
The most interesting thing in EOS right now is Effect.AI. No, just kidding. Listen, so this is how this all came about. We knew early on that it was not going to work with Neo, but we weren't going to make a mistake and do something very fast acting. So we started looking into a whole bunch of different blockchain projects, different blockchains that we could build upon and work with. And this started back in April, May, June, July, maybe August of last year. And so we were exploring, we looked at some blockchains, but then I contacted one of my friends in London who happens to be Shane Kehoe, which is one of the EOS VCs from SVK Crypto. We've been friends for a long time, and I told him over some kind of conference we were at, I said, listen, we're looking to migrate. Any suggestions? And he goes, you know me in EOS. I think that I can introduce you to some good guys there and you can explore that. And I said, my team's looked into them and it looks really, really great and promising. And it's probably in the top 2 or 3 that we'll be, aiming to join. And so he actually hooked it up that myself and the 2 other founding members of our team, Jesse and Lawrence, got invited to the London EOS Hackathon as mentors. So I thought, what a wonderful way to find out about not only the community, but the technology and everything behind that. So we joined them for that. It was one of the most eye-opening, incredible experiences of my life. I remember in 2014 going to Tuesday night Bitcoin meetups with 5 guys in a room talking about Bitcoin and blockchain and how it's going to change the world. And really, these guys were so optimistic, and I'm never a pessimist, but in this situation, I was like, I think you guys are thinking a little bit faster than it's going to happen. So fast forward a few years later, I'm standing in the Science Museum in the middle of London at an EOS hackathon with 700 participants, 70 mentors, and it blew me away. So to get back to the question, because the question, what's hot right now? The community is the hottest, coolest thing I've ever seen. The people that I met at that hackathon have inspired me a great deal. And I think the power of the EOS community, we can talk about the technology, we can talk about all that stuff, and there's lots of cool things that are going on right now and always continuously going on with EOS. But the community, I think, is one of the most special thing that EOS has going for it. And it felt like coming into a family. I couldn't have been more motivated to mentor some of the teams that were there. So my answer is certainly community, and especially with the release of the information that we will be migrating not only our token but all of our development to the EOS blockchain. Everybody reached out to me. It was absolutely insane. All of these people with podcasts and YouTube channels and influencers and all of this stuff, they all reached out. They welcomed us. It was overwhelming and absolutely incredible. So community number 1, man. It's really cool.
Yeah, the community is killer. I mean, everyone's working together. Everyone wants the same thing. Everyone is working for EOS to be adopted and blockchain in general to be adopted. So I'm totally on board with that. And the hackathon, I went to I was a mentor at the San Francisco hackathon, and it was eye-opening for me too. Like to see just this such a dedicated, hardworking, giant group of people like hammering out projects was just amazing. And then how well it was organized by Block One was just, I've been to so many conferences and, they're just kind of haphazard a lot of the time, but it was just so on time, professional. It was just very eye-opening to go to the hackathon. It was amazing. So
yeah, I totally agree. But Block One, I can't believe it. That also gave me a lot of faith in the project that Block One is helping build out these features and different things on the main net. To see how organized and structured they were, meet a whole bunch of the members of that team, Jay, Estelle, and many other people. It was absolutely, incredible. So, yeah.
And did you win the best mentor, or did someone on your team win the top mentor there?
So listen, we came over as a Neo project, and we were kind of trying to be undercover a little bit because none of this was out that we're exploring other blockchains. We weren't talking about it. We went out to the first dinner the night before the hackathon, and a few people recognized me because I do a lot of YouTube stuff and videos. They go, "Chris, Effect.AI, aren't you on Neo?" I said, "Yeah, man, but listen, I'm just in the space. I like to help out and participate where I can." But like I said, when I got to that hackathon and I saw what it was about, it probably sounds cheesy and shouldn't say it, but I had tears in my eyes. Like it was incredible how far this has come, how far blockchain and this space has come, because I've been in here for a while and always waiting for the big boom moment, and that was it for me. So the inspiration to really work with each and every single team, I did not sleep for a second. That whole entire thing, I hardly ate, and I was just going table to table, helping guys as much as I can as one of the entrepreneurial mentors. And I did end up winning the MVM, the most valuable mentor, even against all of the Block One guys. And I really desperately tried not to win it. I wanted second place would have been great, but then all of a sudden I'm on YouTube videos, and I get the presentation from Angel Hack and those guys, and the rest is history. So yeah, I did end up winning the most valuable mentor.
Yeah, well, that's killer. So much for flying under the radar, I guess, huh?
Yeah, I'm bad at these things.
Yeah, and just riffing on the community thing and how important that is in EOS. As you know, because it sounds like you come from a pretty diverse background with kickboxing and sales and entrepreneurship. Projects need fantastic tech and like really good technical, which EOS clearly has, but the other things are what like kind of gives it this full picture. The people out, the rest of the community, the entrepreneurs and things that are also supporting, gives it this real full business that's kind of being pushed forward. So the community is amazing. I mean, people like you out there that are pushing it forward, and it's cool to have it well-rounded community as well.
Yeah, listen, I don't want to talk too much about Neo. It's nice to be moving on from there, and I wish them all the best of luck and stuff, but the community wasn't there. And for me, it's very, very important community when it comes to initiatives, especially new initiatives that are so incredibly important for global inclusion and everything else. It's so important to have a good community that you can rely on, trust in, believe in, and work with to a collective goal. So, I mean, it looked like that with EOS, the hackathon. It looked like a bunch of great people, but the proof is 100% in the pudding now. We released the information, and it must be at least 200 people have reached out in the community, which is unheard of. I've met maybe 5 people in the Neo community. So for 200 people, this network is growing. And then to find out all of the different projects, because there's so much happening in EOS. I think a lot of people don't understand this. There is so much. It's really hard for me to get my finger on the pulse of all of the different things that are happening. But a lot of what we're trying to build out are very complex systems. And we have some of the best tech teams that can pull this off. But knowing that there's people working on similar things that we can add to our smart contract stack and our technology stack, it's really, really motivating us to be able to reach out and see if we can collaborate and work with other people. So yeah.
What's the tech support look like as far as from Block One or from the community, as far when you have this tech stack that you're going to bring over to EOS? What's the actual support like?
So it's crazy. I've had a pretty close contact with a couple of Block One people since the hackathon, just letting them know what we're thinking, what we're doing, never really fully saying that we're going to do this until just a couple of weeks ago, just prior to the news. But they've offered a whole bunch of support, development support, marketing support. They retweeted us and did some stuff. So they've been incredibly supportive. So yeah, not just Block One, but other people from other blockchains have just reached out and gone crazy. What's really, really funny is that I'm in Amsterdam, and even our boy Dallas Rushing from Karma Project, he just flew in today, and I haven't seen him yet, but he's sitting in an office right beside me because he just got in as we were starting this thing. So it's amazing the support of the people that are in the ecosystem. But Block One specifically, they're there with the resources and the help that we can rely on if we need it. But we're pretty confident in building out what we need to build out. It's pretty complex to build all of the stuff we've already built and migrate that all over. So it will be in sections, but it's great to know that Block One and the EOS community are there.
Yeah, for sure. Well, let's transition into what Effect.AI is for the people who haven't looked into it yet. This is the big picture. Like, what is it?
Okay, so I'll give you the simple, and then we can maybe look into a little bit deeper. But when I talk to people for the first time, I let them know that this is a decentralized and open democratic network for artificial intelligence development that unfolds in 3 overlapping phases. So the first phase and the first problem that we kind of deal with is the structuring of vast quantities of data. So we use a human global workforce to structure and annotate data on our first platform. So the first phase is called Effect Force. And just like a microtasking marketplace, to label and annotate data sets. So this prepares those data sets for machine learning purposes. So for a machine learning model to learn, you need high quality training data and tons of it. So a lot of data scientists are sitting there in their office. There's 2 or 3 of them, and they're structuring this data themselves, and sometimes it takes weeks. So they can go onto our platform. It's completely scalable. So currently we have 2,000 global workers working on our platform that are structuring this data at scale. So if you need 2,000 extra helping hands to structure a sheet, we have that 2,000 workers globally. So that's our first phase. We help you build your solutions. We help you build your algorithms. Our second phase, which kind of the idea of the second phase came a little bit after the idea of the first phase, a few weeks later, but the first one was this one because it would help us as AI developers in our jobs, tremendously if we had this ability. So the second one is called the Effect Smart Market. So this is a marketplace, essentially an app store for AI algorithms and AI related services. So going into the future, we're going to start seeing a lot of different online marketplaces for AI related services and algorithms. And we want to be at the forefront of the decentralized marketplace where people can purchase, buy, sell, and obtain these algorithms and services peer-to-peer. So no middleman in the middle. They have some kind of algorithm or service to offer, and you guys can just peer-to-peer connect with each other and license that agreement and work with each other. With that smart market, we want to make it very much like the EOS community and make it a collaborative place. So we can catch up to some of the big giants in the world that are developing these things very fast. So instead of Google developing their own stuff, Amazon doing their own stuff, the Effect Smart Market is essentially somewhere where everybody can collaborate with everybody else to build on top of their algorithms and build on top of their solutions and that stuff. So basically phase 1 is to help you build your algorithms. Phase 2 is to monetize your algorithms. You've built a service that is very valuable to other people. You can monetize that and have that in one open spot. The third phase is a global supercomputer, if you want to call it, kind of like Gollum. So this is actually to power now the deep learning frameworks and algorithms that you have either built or monetized in the first and second phase. Now you have a one distributed power source to run your AI framework as well. So those are the three phases of what Effect.AI is building. So that's it in a bit of a nutshell and the simple version. But all of those three are built on what we call the Effect network, which is, or we call it the 10 protocol. So this is a protocol, a smart contract stack with smart contracts and different types of algorithms and a bunch of technology that's based on what we call the Galaxy pool, which is a liquidity market, and a fee distribution pool, which is also smart contracts. So it's a protocol level that enables anybody to be able to build on top of this protocol, connect an interface to this blockchain protocol, and start working with either marketplace type things, or if you need to tap into a workforce or you want to offer up services that are not related to AI, the 10 protocol gives you the opportunity to be able to come up with ideas. So I met a guy in Barcelona at a pretty big conference last week saying, I'm an online tutor and I'm looking for a way to be able to teach people and be able to get paid quicker and not use banking systems or PayPal with all the fees. I said, if you create your own interface, you can then get a whole bunch of different tutors on and really offer this service, and things like Fiverr. So we plan on doing maybe a hackathon at the end of the year to really encourage teams and people to build these solutions that can connect to our protocol. So that's it in the best I can do.
That is, I mean, it's really big picture, because you mentioned Amazon and Google that are kind of controlling the AI game at this point, and it's going to start to open up, and we'll see how that plays out. We can get into that a little bit later, but let's talk about how this actually works. So the three stages, or the three pieces of this puzzle that you have. Let's say that I was doing like training a car to drive, an automated car to drive. So the first step would be I'd maybe use the micro tasking platform. I would take my data, I would give it to the micro tasking platform called Force. Effect Force. And then humans would kind of input that data so that we start getting an algorithm. And then that's how I would develop a piece of my algorithm, basically. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly. So when it comes to computer vision, which is what a self-driving cars is all about, that branch of computer science and AI, you would take images or videos and you would have people label that data in some kind of a way. So we do it all the time with CAPTCHA. That's training an algorithm, where it says prove you're a human and all of the buses and all of the things. But then we get into, on Effect Force, we do have these tools, tracing tools and drawing tools and polygon tools that are able to look at street signs, and you draw around the street sign, you draw the car, you draw pedestrians. And we've been working with some clients in regards to automation of vehicles. So it's data labeling. That's exactly how it works. So that's just structuring some data so you can push that into a machine learning model to start solving these problems and issues. So we're not building the algorithms ourselves. We're giving you the prep to start building. But there's also another branch of this called active learning. So active learning is when you have a model, a machine learning model, where you have a bunch of quality data going through that model, but then you need a validator to just make sure that bits and pieces of it gets validated, that it's working correctly. So our workforce can also be integrated into any kind of machine learning model, an active learning model, to create an active learning model where a human is just validating and making sure that the information in the machine learning model is doing the correct thing. So really important. The human will detect if something's going wrong, send it back to be annotated and corrected, and then it's back into the machine. The validator says, okay, that's good now, and then it starts to learn a lot quicker with the human in the loop. Okay,
so it's kind of the first step would be me giving this information to and then the humans overseeing and making sure that the algorithm is being built properly.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah. And then after let's say I get my algorithm built, or a chunk of my algorithm built, then there's an exchange where I can put this up for sale or for lease to other people to use, or maybe this has already been done and I can go find that's already been built and use it for my self-driving. Is that kind of how that next portion works there?
That's exactly it. Yeah. Listen, you let's say you solve a very specific issue that is plaguing an industry of some sort, right? And this can be a kid in the basement. Like, it just takes a pretty smart, an inspired mind to be able to come up with a solution, structure data in a way to create a machine learning model that's going to solve a problem. So let's say for receipt sorting in accounting or some sort of thing like this. If you build that, you obviously want to monetize that. And where the project originally came from, Effect.AI was actually an algorithm for A/B testing. So it was a live A/B testing on websites. We knew it was valuable. We knew it was fantastic, but we had no place to put it, to expose it to the world. We knew lots of people would use it, but we had to call people up and say, hey guys, yeah, it's Chris. We got this algorithm. Can we come demo it for you? On the smart market and marketplaces that will come out in the future, like the smart market, it gives you a place to monetize and capitalize on that, or build on top of that. So let's say that you have the self-driving car for Europe, and then you meet somebody on the smart market that has it for a different country or a different location, a different continent. Then you can collaborate with them and say, hey, listen, if we put this together, then we can really sell this to an automotive company or somebody that's working on this, or add value to their initiative. So yeah, that's exactly it, a marketplace of collaboration and being able to monetize or find solutions that are necessary to making your life easier and better.
Cool. And then it sounds like the third step would be, I've got this algorithm maybe like built for my automated car to drive on, and then I could basically get resources from the distributed supercomputer to run the actual algorithm. Is that? And that's
exactly it. So GPU is a source where you have to go to Amazon or Google for their service. And what this is just distributed power. So if you have extra computational power on your computer or on resources in your office or that you're not using, you can pool that into a pool of computational power source, and then people can take from that and use it as well. Being distributed across a global network of individuals, there's no point of failure there, which is going to be incredibly important in the future when algorithms are running absolutely everything. So if by chance Amazon servers goes down, imagine the impact that would have on society when everything is running on algorithms. It's a little bit problem. It's a huge problem. So that's one that we solve with that. Now there's other people working on that, and we're looking to collaborate. We have all of the theory down in our white paper, and here's how we kind of roll this out, because we're creating a network of individuals first as a global workforce annotating and structuring data. So we gather these people globally, these organizations doing this, which creates a big network of people. The second phase is monetizing a marketplace. Anybody can buy and tap in. So we're creating a bigger and bigger network of things. And then we get into the computational power, because it's not new. A global distributed supercomputer is not new. Gollum and a few other projects have built them out. Gollum, I believe, is successful. It's running, but it has a very select few users. And for nothing else other than they just don't have the network. So that's why we put that at the very end phase, to be able to build up a whole bunch of users and community and network behind the project, that when you think about what you need to run your algorithm, it just is easy for you. You say, listen, Effect Power, they've helped me build it, they helped me monetize it, and now I can just tap into that power source. So yeah, you got it.
Yeah, well, it makes sense. It's kind of from the beginning to the end of even a company that's just, it's self-scaling can kind of go through Effect.AI the whole way. That's that's killer. So why is this so important, or what's the landscape look like right now if a company were to kind of try to get this done?
Okay, so obviously we're moving very fast into an automated world, and people are becoming very competitive at this. So where we differ from some of the centralized solutions is quality. And quality to a lot of the requesters that we talk to, requesters being clients that want to structure data. What they talk about is quality is way more important than speed. We can match the speed with our workforce, with our global workforce. We can match the speed, but where we differ is with our quality. So We don't currently have this, but we will have this on our Effect Force. But we will have a staking mechanism for workers. So they have skin in the game. If you do bad quality work, you risk losing the stake that you have in there. So it really encourages them to look at the work specifically to the requester and do high quality work for that requester. We also have a reputation system in place that we're building, and I look forward to working with some people in the EOS community on this. But because reputation, decentralized reputation, is a very complex and complicated thing. But we will have reputation that we are validating with ourselves and with some of our community members, validating the work that's going on there and making sure that the reputation continues to increase. If your reputation increases, it opens up and unlocks higher paying jobs and gives you access to more specialized work. So yeah, quality is a huge thing for the requesters, and that's what I'm hearing. And so we cover that with a lot of what we're doing and how we build out this technology.
Do you think this will also bring costs down for development of AI?
Yeah, incredibly. Like? This is why it's already bringing costs down incredibly. So because of geopolitical problems and issues that the United States seems to have with a lot of countries and other countries with other countries, and not just the United States, but everybody, it's hard to open up a business and go into other markets, especially in the microtasking marketplace. So Amazon has the centralized version of Effect Force called Amazon MTurk, or Mechanical Turk. And so they have stopped going into countries because of all the problems that they're getting. The payment solution, sometimes it takes 14 to 21 days to get them a payment solution. They're paying them in gift cards, and then there's a secondary marketing gift card. So that's not working for Amazon. It's all broken because Jeff Bezos isn't listening to what's happening in the crypto space, which is great for us because it gives us an opening to compete. And so with us, most of the workers on Amazon's MTurk are in the United States of America. That might surprise a lot of people because I think a lot of people think they're all from India or all from these developing countries. They're not. But our workforce is from 90 different countries right now. And so when we're looking at work, if you're a company and you have a very simple task and it's about cost, and you want to pay no more than $4 an hour for that work, we have a workforce where $4 an hour is an absolute incredible income. And these are guys that have been working on our platform and do high quality work. So yes, we will bring down the cost. Now, a lot of these centralized models also include all of the costs of getting the money to the people using a decentralized payment method like cryptocurrency. When our workers do a task, automatically they are paid per task. So it's not hourly rate, it's every single task that they do, they get paid out immediately for that task. So there's no more banking systems taking their fees across everywhere, and there's no more waiting for payment. So of course we're going to have the higher quality workers coming on board. And talking about higher quality workers, I've had a whole bunch of Americans that work basically full-time on Amazon's MTurk come join our team. So we're taking the cream of the crop right now for the workforce, which are helping us out with all the little trade secrets. I will never mention their names because I'm sure they have NDAs with Amazon, but we're getting a lot of support from all kinds of different players all over the world. And then to kind of add to that, I think that we will be getting some nice funding from NGOs and other organizations like the UN, because I went to a conference in Georgia several months ago, and I found out that the average wages there was $2.50 US dollars, $2.50 an hour. And I thought, oh my goodness, these people speak English very, very well. They're driven, they're work oriented. They're just, their economy is just not doing that great. So I set up a meeting with the UN there. I told them what we were doing, and we've just completed a pilot program with the UN with a bunch of workers that are working on our platform, and we fly out there at the end of this month and talk about a full-blown partnership where they will request all kinds of different data sets to solve big problems like disaster relief and other kinds of things. So yeah, it's changing the lives of some people out in Georgia right now, and we're going to build what we call Effect impact hubs. So this will be a brick and mortar place for workers to have a safe environment to learn and develop their skills to use on our platform. And because of the funding that we're talking about with some of these organizations, we don't have to be out of pocket for this or incur any kind of fees on our network. So for sure, we will be the most cost-effective, highest quality solution. So that's the deal.
Wow, that's the information about the Mechanical Turk is surprising. I had no idea. I'm one of those people who pictured that happening in other countries all around the world. That it's mostly from the States is really surprising, actually.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, and so like the UN is going to be basically funding the building of this program because it's going to increase wages and put jobs and help people in Georgia. So
that's the hope. We haven't so we just finished the pilot. So the objective and the goal is to open up these what we call Effect social impact hubs in several different countries all over the world, starting in Georgia, then moving over to Nepal, Pakistan, Uganda, and Kenya are the first 5 that we want to work with. And obviously we cannot do that just by ourselves. We really need the support with some big organizations. So yeah, we're in hopes that through the UN and other organizations like the UN, and with the support of one of our advisors whose name is Sally Eves, she's blockchain for good, AI for good, really involved in a whole bunch of initiatives all over the world. If any of you guys get the chance, hit her up on Twitter and check out some of her YouTube videos, especially her TED Talk. She's actually flying over to Georgia with us to talk to the UN and try to get some wheels moving on really having them support what we're doing and how we're doing it. And of course, the reason being, it creates jobs. Effect Force, we're hopeful, and I know people, like even my team says, hey, maybe you shouldn't mention numbers like that, but I'm talking about millions of jobs within the next few years. I really feel that this platform can develop millions of jobs. But let's just say a couple thousand jobs. That's a lot more than a lot of different projects can offer. And so there's that. We can create workforces all over the world, create fair wages for people all over the place. But then secondarily, the UN is trying to solve all kinds of humanitarian issues and problems, and AI is going to be at the forefront of solving, I'm going to say, the majority of those problems. AI is really going to be a force to be reckoned with when it comes to solving the world's problems. And so working with us as a requester as well, structuring data to create models to help poverty or hunger or disaster relief efforts. It's a partnership made perfect. So yeah, that's the goal.
Yeah, that's fantastic. That's one of the bigger picture visions of blockchain that I'm always so interested in, is unlocking these pockets of human potential all over the globe that are kind of stuck. Like Georgia is a great example where there's a ton of human potential there that isn't being utilized, and when you go around and start unlocking it.
Yeah, the internet let us down there a little bit. It really did let us down. And it's really because the banking systems and political things, blockchain really opens that up. The inclusion. Listen, charities, fantastic, that's great. But a lot of times they're sending aid and they're doing these stuff. These people need inclusion. They need to be included within the world and how the world works. And the internet was almost there. We almost did it. But the Internet 3.0, Web 3.0, with blockchain technology and using these new bits of technology is really going to solve it. So that's what I'm into most. So my tech team, they're into being all-star dev guys and creating the best technology ever. But funny enough, our project just kind of manifested and we started to realize all of the social impact this could have. And that's my biggest passion. So just a shout out to anybody that's watching, listening. If you have any kind of a network where they need help or want to support, these tech for good initiatives, then let me know, reach out, and I'd love to work with each and every one of you guys.
Yeah, it's really the blockchain giving this peer-to-peer interaction and being able to eliminate something like Google or Amazon that has these incentives to, for example, keep the Mechanical Turk within the States. When you could just get peer-to-peer, all of a sudden the whole globe is able to interact and it really just changes the game. I mean, that's so cool. So cool when you think about a bigger picture. Big potential too. I mean, wow.
Thanks.
Yeah. So what's where are you kind of at in your roadmap now, and what's the next short-term step?
Okay, cool. So we had to stall development a little bit when it came to our smart contract stack on Neo. It's very expensive to deploy. There's no iterations to smart contracts. So if you make a mistake, you're in big trouble. Not that our tech team makes mistakes, but that's also nice to think on testnet. You can really test stuff out and then get it ready for deployment. But there's no point in building this out because we knew we were moving. So where we're at right now, we've already done 2 million micro tasks, transactions to our global workforce of 2,000. We've stopped with the requesters over the last few weeks because we're really prepping and getting ready for the migration and talking to some big major requesters that are going to be able to produce tens of thousands, if not possibly millions of micro tasks per day, which will really feed into our environment and our workforce. So their Effect Force is alive and running. If there are requesters, then we can put you on there and get your data structured and sorted. In the immediate timeline, we're building out the migration tool. So there's about 3 different ways you can build migration tools for tokens. So we're concentrating on the highest level technical one, which is a cross-chain atomic swap, which we're validating. It looks to be, it possibly could be a little bit expensive because we want to keep the migration tool open forever. So anybody that's, maybe kickboxing in the jungle like I was for the next few years and not looking at crypto, when he gets back to his EFX, the window of opportunity of migrating that token hasn't stopped. So doing an atomic swap, you really have to be looking and validating what's happening on each blockchain to validate stuff. So it's not only highly technical, but it can be pretty costly to leave that open forever. So we are still exploring that and looking into different things. Yeah, so we're in the validation phase of the migration tool. So there's a couple other ways that you can build them out, very much like EOS with the teleportation and that kind of stuff. So we're working on that, and the aim is to do the migration of the EFX token at the mid to end of April, and then migrate our smart contracts from Effect Force over a few weeks after that, like really get down to the development of moving over that whole project, and then starting to add a bunch of smart contracts for the whole protocol level for Effect Force and for the Effect Smart Market. And then Effect Smart Market, we'll have some special announcements coming out in the next few weeks. And by mid-year, we're hoping to have the Effect Smart Market up and running and being pretty active there.
Cool. So I look forward to the special announcements and, seeing, maybe we'll catch up again, during the summer of this year or something and see where you guys are at. If there's some big developments or something, that's killer. How is the reaction from the Neo token holders as far as that goes? Yeah, listen,
we didn't get too involved in the Neo ecosystem right off the bat. We started to get not such a great feeling about it, and the technology. So we didn't actively get involved. So our community knew that we weren't actively involved. They saw it and they felt it. And I think the people that were big Neo fans or whatever might have left our project behind. They'll come back. But then I think also most of our community, which we did a token sale, right? And we did what we call fair share distribution. So during that crazy ICO time, you usually get a whitelist of, we got a whitelist of 16,000 people, and we didn't do private sales. We did a couple of, seed rounds to be able to do an ICO, but we did a very limited, we weren't doing the same as everybody else. We were just listening to the community. We did fair share distribution. So that 16,000, we divided our hard cap into little allotments that everybody could get a chance to get in, and then we raised that 24 hours later. So it's a very distributed project. Overall, there was 5,500 people that participated in the token sale. Very, very distributed and limited supply to each one of those members. So there was no whales getting involved or anything like that. So I think that the people that held our token, and even the Neo community people, respect us as a project. They respect what we're doing, and yeah, but for the most part, a lot of these token holders were following our project and weren't big Neo guys. So it was really about Effect.AI. We were able to build a community base of over 60,000 people. So it's been good. So when we announced the migration, of course, well, get this. So this frustrates me, and I didn't want to talk about NEO so much, but we're a big part of the history of the NEO blockchain. We were one of the very first projects to do a token sale on their platform. We were one of the first teams to fly to Shanghai and meet with the team. So we felt that we have some history there, and no hard feelings, right? I wish them the best in the future, and I truly wish them to achieve what they're trying to achieve. But right after we announced that we're migrating, they erased all of the history on their subreddit of everything that ever existed of Effect.AI.
Oh, wow.
Within like an hour. It was absolutely incredible. One of our founding members, Lawrence, came over. He goes, "We're off of Reddit." I'm like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "Well, we're on the top page of the EOS Reddit, but we don't even exist anymore on NEO." I was like, "What the heck?" So 2 days later, one of the NEO guys, I don't know who, posted that we moved over, and then they collectively all got in there and bashed us. So there's one post on the NEO subreddit of Effect.AI migrating to the EOS, and then all of them bashing and having their turn. So the NEO community, maybe not so great, but the Effect.AI community, they were so supportive and so incredibly great.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you built a really good community specifically for Effect.AI. So that's good. And with so many different blockchains, I kind of take this bigger picture view that with the whole, if blockchain itself is adopted, which hopefully it will be, there's plenty of room for tens, hundreds of different blockchains, each kind of working on separate things with different, benefits to each kind of blockchain. So I think there's room for all kinds of blockchains to succeed as far as that goes.
Yeah, listen, I'm involved in the communities across the board, and it's not about whether anymore. Blockchain technology is being adopted by all of the big corporates. I walked into Deloitte the other day. So for our terms and conditions, we work with PwC. I walked into PwC. I did a big meeting with those guys about blockchain technology, AI, and everything else. They said, "Chris, hey, guess what? We've already had 50 guys working on our blockchain solutions for the last few years." Deloitte has like hundreds of people. IBM now has something like 8,000 people working on blockchain. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. It's running everything. So yeah, blockchain technology will be part of day-to-day life for everybody. Our moms, our dads, our grandparents, everybody's going to be using it exactly like they did with the internet. It always comes with the tech guys first, the Dan Laramies of the world that build out these complex, crazy, incredible, life-changing, disruptive systems. And then we start to try to take our entrepreneurial spirit and be able to offer that out to the world. So it's incredible. There's all kinds of blockchain initiatives in the centralized world, in the decentralized world. It serves a purpose across many different means and measures. So it's really exciting times, and it's very cool for all of us to be at the forefront of that, I think.
Yeah, it is a matter of when, not if, huh? And also, I guess, who, as far as who is going to develop blockchain technology, and I mean, it's everyone. What do you see that kind of playing out like? Is there a possibility that this could spin like the internet did, where it's kind of corporate controlled, or do you think that it's been let out of the box and that's not really a possibility?
Oh, these decentralized and distributed initiatives. I think the world is going to drastically change. It's something you can't stop it. You cannot stop these systems, and that's the magic and the power of them. It's going to take away corruption. It's going to take away some of these systems that are just broken by design. I don't think it's going to be controlled. I think that blockchain will play a part in the centralized world. Decentralized systems using blockchain hopefully really take the majority of the stake, and people understand. I think the days of the net worth of a company or the net worth of an individual are over. It's about the network. The value of the network, what you put in, what you get out, the value you give is the value you get, and it's a fair, transparent system. It's important, and it's important for people to realize that. I understand like the money involved with trading and stuff, but I urge all of you traders out there to stop trading for a second and look into the technology and dive deep. because I was trading for a few years in cryptocurrency, and really learning and digging deep into these systems. And that's when I realized I need to either be part of a project or I need to start a project, because this is going to change everything. So yeah, really dive into the technology, understand decentralized systems, and start to add value instead of trading so much.
Yeah, I love that network over net worth. I haven't heard that before, but it's a wonderful play on words right there. that's
my
cool.
boy Casper came in. Yeah, we were again over beers, having things, and he goes, Chris, you know what? The future is about network, not net worth. So I thought, yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah, and I'm kind of the same vision of hopefully blockchain can push forward the idea that the internet kind of brought in what everyone was hopeful for when the internet first came around, of this big decentralized global community where people get paid for the value that they're adding. That's kind of my big thing, is that there's people that can add so much value and are adding so much value in all these different ways, but because it's not peer-to-peer transactions, they're cut out of the transaction. They're just adding value and getting nothing back. And so it's a beautiful thing, bigger picture for sure.
Yeah, I agree.
So as we start to wind down here, I would like to ask a question about jungle kickboxing in Thailand, and just a brief explanation of what that's all about and how you came out of the jungle and then started are part of this Effect.AI.
Yeah, okay. It's a little bit of a long story, but so I was in the corporate world for several years, working as project management and sales manager, and then owning my own businesses in the energy sector and helping with many different initiatives. But I never fully enjoyed it. I love business. I love the strategic part of building businesses and project management and managing people. But I really longed for something else. When I was 6, I watched The Karate Kid and then got into karate lessons. And I started training MMA with some UFC fighters even, and did that for years. And then just did it once in a while for exercise sake, But I always was looking on my computer in between interviews or running a business. I was looking at Thailand and kickboxing and thinking, man, it'd be really great to get out there one day. And so in 2008, I finally sold my company and decided to go out there and give it a shot. And so I just started training out there, and training turned into my trainer saying, hey, you're pretty good. If you stick around a little bit longer, maybe you want to do a fight. And I thought, no, I'm not out here to fight. I just want to train. And I actually ended up fighting after 7 months of training out there in the jungles, about 5 hours a day. It was pretty intensive.
Wow.
Fell in love with the sport. It's the national sport of Thailand. So it's well respected. It's a fantastic, fun way for people to get involved in communities, because it's in every community. It's absolutely phenomenal. And so I came back to Canada and I sat down and I started building a business, and I thought, I'm not doing this again. I'm going right back to Thailand. So I went right back in 2009, and I talked to a couple of the trainers that I had, and I built my own gym up in the north of Thailand, and started kickboxing and training other international fighters, and built that gym up to a pretty successful thing. And then I met a Dutch girl, and I had to follow her to Holland. And so, yeah, we came to Holland. I knew a couple of people because in the Dutch ecosystem, in the Netherlands, kickboxing and Muay Thai is very popular. So I actually knew quite a few people that were students at my gym. So I connected with one of them who was a computer programmer who had a company designing very complex systems, and I met some of his team. And then we started this initiative together.
Well, that's a fantastic story. I love the idea of Effect.AI coming out of the Thailand jungle kickboxing. It's fantastic, man. It's great. So is there anything that we kind of skipped over Effect.AI, either that's happening now or the roadmap that you wanted to touch on? I
think that we did a pretty good job covering the whole thing, man. That's where we're at. If anybody has any questions, comments, I'm just going to plug, if that's okay. Just Effect.AI is the website. From the website, you can learn a lot about the project. Also from the website, you can join all of our community initiatives on Telegram or Twitter or Facebook or any of those. We're pretty active in all of those. You can sign up to our newsletter that comes out once a month telling you exactly what's happening and what we've been up to. Yeah, the best place to catch me if you want to talk personally is Telegram. I basically live on there. So yeah, come hit me up. And if you have any questions, we gladly answer them anytime.
Fantastic. Well, I'll find you on the socials, and I'll get on that mailing list, because once a month is a good amount of time for a mailing list. I like that. I like that better than every 3 days one.
Yeah, sure. It gives you time to build up some good news. You know? Like
exactly.
We were doing them every 2 weeks, and like we still had some good news, but it also gets in the way because we all like to collectively, our team's fairly big, but we all collectively like to write the newsletters and tell, you know, the tech side of things, the marketing side, the where we are, the things that are happening. And so if you do it every 2 weeks, it also takes away from the team. So we try to go once a month, and we give them a big bang, you know, every month, hopefully. And yeah, that's what we do. Cool.
Well, I will put the links for your Telegram, Twitter, Reddit, Facebook, your web into the show notes for people. On my end, my EOS Podcast friends, this is EOS Podcast. It's not just a YouTube show. So listen to it, because that way, when you're driving to work, or even when you're at work, you can have your little Bluetooth in, and you can be listening to stuff like Effect.AI and Chris here, and his jungle kickboxing. I have a proxy called Mr. Happy Money, mrhappymoney. Mr. Happy Money is my proxy for block producers, because I have so many block producers on this show. And so I vote for the ones that are transparent, empowering the community, building the EOS community together, is what I base it on. And I do long form personal interviews with them. So I know what's up with block producers. So if you want to have me vote for you and take that off your hands, Mr. Happy Money proxy. And that is the show, my EOS Podcast friends. Thank you for listening today. And Chris, pleasure to have you on, man. Thank you.
Brandon, thank you so much. It's an absolute honor, man. Yeah, very happy to be joining the EOS family and community. So yeah, absolutely fantastic. Thanks, man.
Cool. Cheers.
The money is not the prime asset in life. Time is, and your time is just